Hi there. I'm Becky Novak, the Director of Influencer Marketing. And today, along with my colleagues, Crystal Mitchell and Dana Helm, we're going to speak about the accelerating importance of content, specifically as it pertains to influencer and content marketing. I know that there's a growing appetite for content, but as you're getting, really excited to plan your content, there are a few points to be mindful of that we're going to walk through with you today. So first, the best content is rooted in culture. But with that, you do need to keep aware of social trends and the current political environment when you're planning your content and your partnerships with influencers. Secondly, as influencer marketing is maturing into its own channel, marketers are in search of metrics that are more than those PR vanity metrics that we once were measuring influencers' efficiency by. Thirdly, there's an increased focus on content marketing as a whole. And with that, there's also a look for authenticity and value as the space is getting more cluttered. And lastly, we're going to talk through some exciting AI powerment that we're able to do to amplify our content marketing a bit further. So moving on, getting to the heart of it, what is influencer marketing? You might be doing it, or you might be considering doing it, or you're at least reading that influencer marketing is on the rise. The truth is, you've probably been doing it in some form or fashion all along. At its heart, influencer marketing is generating positive word of mouth for your brand using a third party. And influencers can take all different shapes and sizes and forms. They could be, the social celebrities who we traditionally think of, those YouTubers and those TikTokers who are making headlines. But they could also be real world tastemakers. They could be brand advocates who are hiding in your social media. They could be content creators, so those are the folks who are known for a specific creative POV. They're meme makers and videographers, etc. And there's the experts. So experts across the board, anyone who has a digital presence at this standpoint, we would consider an influencer. And so just taking it another step, back to what Bernie was speaking about earlier. Influencers really having a bit of a moment because of the homebody economy. Media budgets, that shift to influencer, we think is here to stay. And just to pinpoint that, when asked in 2018, 39% of marketers were thinking about increasing their influencer budget. That number's actually jumped up to about 65% in 2020, and I imagine it's even larger now. And that's, in part because marketers are seeing increased success as there's just a spread across social of things that you can do and tie influencer marketing into. A few numbers, that you can see here on your right, really, that speak about influencer. 92% of consumers trust recommendations from people more so than brands. 78% of brands say that influencer creative performs as well or outperforms branded assets. And just a side note here, when you're thinking about your creative strategy at this point, you're thinking about how your investment can work harder for you. And influencer, while traditionally we use the influencers channels to push out content, also keep in the back of your mind when you're content planning that you can use influencer assets across your own social, your own channels as well. So that can be social, newsletter, website, just a way that, if you're investing in a partnership, it can work a bit harder. Jumping back in, 34% of people have purchased based on an influencer's posts, and one word of mouth impression can drive sales at least 5 times more than one paid impression. And so just digging in a little bit deeper into what the power of influencer marketing is in 2021. Influencer marketing allows brands now strategically to guide word of mouth at scale. And two things there, strategically and at scale. Originally, influencer marketing was more of a nice to have PR tactic. And in 2021, what we're seeing is that influencer content can actually be amplified with targeting to actually closely match your media objectives and your targets. And to us at Harmelin, we feel like that's really the secret sauce of influencer marketing in 2021 and beyond. We can get smarter and make your content work harder at the same time. And then just like really quickly a baseline, if you are thinking about influencer marketing, there's a few key things to keep in mind. Firstly is the who. So when you're looking for your influencers, you want to find someone that meets that sweet spot that, they have a community, they have credibility, so they have an expertise or some cred within that community, and also that they're connected to their audience. So they're not just, slapping out branded content, but they're actually engaged in the comment section and going and talking to their audience. The what? So here I would just make sure that you're always thinking about the authenticity of the partnership or the collaboration. You want to take a look and make sure that whatever the influencer can create is going to feel really natural to your brand and that it's an authentic connection. And then the how. Influencer marketing, influencers can do a lot of things, and I think, you've heard so far in the presentation, there's just like new and exciting things that they can do, but at the heart of what they're really strong at, I would say a few things to keep in mind are they can increase awareness for you, they can help change and build brand perception, they can create custom content for you, they can tell your story sometimes through a different lens, they can educate, they can use sampling to get your product out there. They can amplify existing campaigns. They can drive event attendance. That's, real life when we get back to it, or for now, digital live events. And they can be your brand advocates. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Crystal, who can jump in a bit deeper about the trends that we're seeing this year.
Thank you, Becky. So building off of the insights Bernie shared as it relates to the pandemic, as consumers found themselves at home spending more time on social media, this naturally increased the amount of opportunities for interaction with content creators. And not only were they now interacting with them more, but they could now relate to these influencers at any scale, really, from micro to even celebrity status, as we all leaned in, comforted each other, shared some silly dances, DIY tips, and beyond. But really, influencers were there, day in and day out. They were a source of reliability for consumers during these uncertain times. And they interacted with their audiences candidly, as we were all going through the same experiences for the first time in history. For this reason, while many marketers' budgets were down, nearly 60% of consumers noticed more sponsored content, as many advertisers shifted their limited budgets into influencer marketing, where they knew users were spending more time interacting while at home. With the increased social platform usage, came the rise of everyday influencers on platforms that were really in the earlier stage of their growth pre-pandemic. This is TikTok and gamer platform Twitch, as consumers were spending more time online gaming and streaming with creators as well. With the growth and rise of these platforms, advertisers now have more opportunities than they ever had before to broaden their audiences and reach across the board. And really, to just sum it up, the most important impacts is that with these deepened connections that have been built, influencers are producing less glossy, more authentic content, so advertisers can be confident that they're getting even more out of their partnerships. While influencer marketing is a space where out-of-the-box formats and relaxed content are embraced and frankly encouraged, shifts in consumer behavior due to COVID-19 and the BLM movement highlight the need to elevate content for brand safety, tone, sentiment, and inclusivity. While more than 2/3 of the consumers expect brands to take a stand on important issues, we do caution not to just jump on the bandwagon to support a cause because competitors are doing so, or because you think it might look good in the moment. It should be organic and flow from your brand mission and align with the core values. Brands who remain authentic and back up their words with concrete actions are more likely to win that support in the end. So let's talk more about these trends and the shifts in consumer behavior that have had an impact on how marketers are thinking of influencer marketing. Here we're looking at the growth of influencer as it relates to the usage of social media marketing over a 4-year trend. While 2020 created a lot of buzz in the influencer space, marketer usage has been consistently rising, with over 20% growth in usage pre-pandemic heading into 2021 and a predicted 30% increase across a 4-year trend. At this rate of growth, over 72% of marketers will be leveraging influencer marketing within their strategies by 2022. With the rise of influencer usage, we won't be shy about admitting that it does bring light to some of the leading challenges for marketers historically in the space. At the top of the list, measurement and ROI, as marketers are finding it hard to quantify the impactfulness of their campaigns. followed by tapping into newer channels that we spoke of. This is the TikTok and Twitch, as well as finding the right influencers. The good news is, as usage of influencer marketing continues to rise, this too comes the pressure for us to solve for these challenges, and solutions are becoming more readily available. Looking ahead, while many new platforms have grown and thrived, Instagram still remains the leading channel for influencer marketing. And building off of the trends that Alex shared, Instagram has been one of the key reasons why social commerce is flourishing on the platform. Particularly, this is the case within the beauty and fashion verticals. Live streaming and video allow influencers to connect more candidly and frequently with their followers and audiences. Video is definitely the new norm, even on Instagram, which has historically been a photo-centric space. So these are formats like IG Live, Stories, IGTV, TikTok, and Reels, which is Instagram's format that's similar to TikTok. And lastly, the use of influencer aggregators and platforms are making it easier for marketers to facilitate all of these activations in one place, whether it be leveraging data to inform influencer selection, access to multiple channels, and allowing the ability to test out a variety of ad formats across new platforms and measurement in one place. So to really drive it home, the key takeaway is influencer marketing is a way to break through all this social clutter, with so many different video formats allowing influencers to get creative and interact with their audiences more candidly and build those authentic connections. If you haven't already considered leveraging influencer marketing within your media strategy, now is the time. 78% of US marketers are placing more importance in the space as we follow the shifts in consumer behavior and recognize the importance and opportunity and potential for success where consumers are spending not only their time, but more eagerly engaging with sponsored content because it plays a unique role in their lives. Finally, the ability to ensure we are maximizing our influencer efforts and providing proof of performance are the vital important metrics for marketers. And the growth of influencer marketing has paved the way for increased solutions in these challenging areas through platform aggregators and more accessibility to influencer-specific brand studies. And now I'll hand it over to Dana to share some insights into content marketing.
Thanks, Crystal. So similar to influencer marketing, content marketing is another area where consumers are now more than ever looking to brands to create helpful content and content that speaks directly to them in an authentic voice and helps forge that more personal connection. Before we dive too deeply into the trends, though, I just want to take a small step back and make sure we're framing content marketing in the same way for this presentation. So at Harmland Media, we view content marketing as a service that sits somewhere between paid advertising campaigns and public relations. The content that really works best for this service is lightly branded, it's useful, it's a resource, or it's something entertaining. Briefly put, it's the type of content that users want to share. Typically, this content lives on the brand's website or another brand-owned property. And we view the full content marketing service in kind of 3 stages, as you'll see here on the right. We talk about content strategy, content creation, and content amplification. And Harmland does have an in-house specialty team that can help with 1, 2, or all 3 of these stages, depending on your unique needs. Here we have a comparison of the most commonly produced types of content by content marketers from 2019 to 2020. Up at the top, we see blog posts trending in both years, and that is no surprise at all. As we know, a major goal of content marketing is to increase organic traffic, and blog posts just lend themselves very naturally to keyword optimization and can be a great benefit to any SEO strategy. Additionally, as we adjusted to life with social distancing throughout 2020, we saw a large year-over-year increase in webinar production. Most of these webinars were what would likely have been in normal circumstances in-person events or trainings moved to a virtual setting, but not necessarily meaning that this is a trend we'll see diminish anytime soon now that brands have gotten more used to the webinar production. Additionally, case studies surpassed infographics in 2020 as the 3rd most common type of content produced. Here we have budget expectations as a result of a survey of marketers for what they expect to see in 2021. Of of those surveyed, about 39% of marketers responded that they expect to see significant increases. Like Becky alluded to earlier in the presentation, the focus on content marketing has only increased over the last year or so. Not only are consumers expecting that authentic content produced by their brands, but it's also creating increased competition. Brands and marketers are really feeling that need to invest more in this tactic in order to stay relevant and reach their audiences, as well as not lose out, on that real estate to their competitors. Another driving force behind this trend has been the fact that content marketing offers long-term cost efficiencies, which just really can't be ignored during a time when marketing budgets may be strained. Organic traffic, as we know, builds slowly over time, but especially in the case of evergreen content being created, can offer real long-term value. Additionally, certain content assets can be updated over time or may be able to be repurposed for different platforms, which just further expands upon that value. And here we have, with those increased marketing budgets, what most marketers cite as their goals for 2021. So leading with generating more leads and traffic, as well as improving brand reputation. So to better achieve these more top funnel goals, the content that's often created includes blog posts, infographics, webinars, that really more educational type of asset. More middle funnel goals, such as increased payments and improved customer engagement, were scored as lesser priority goals for marketers in 2021. And the types of content we normally see to assist in achieving those goals might include case studies, video tutorials, or product manuals. However, notably, if you remember from a few slides earlier, almost all of those more middle funnel pieces of content we mentioned still see significant increased production from 2019 to 2020. And finally, we're moving into content amplification. So another important piece of the content marketing puzzle here, after we're creating new content, it will take some time before we see that organic traffic build, in which case distribution via social media or native advertising can really target users to help get some engagement on that content while we wait for that organic presence to build. On the left here, we'll see which social media channels marketers find most effective for content distribution, highlighting Facebook and LinkedIn, with each earning about 36% of responses. In addition to social media, as Becky mentioned earlier, our content team has found real value in AI-powered content amplification. So we've partnered with a platform where we're able to use AI-powered native ads to amplify our content. And what this tactic allows us to do is to test thousands of ad permutations and optimize in real time for the audiences that are best engaging with each specific piece of content. And given the ever-changing social landscape of 2020, this ability to be flexible in not only our ad copy, but the content that is being rotated in really gave us the agility needed to quickly react to those changes, those sudden changes in consumer needs and expectations. Additionally, this method of amplification operates on a CPE, so cost per engagement model, rather than a CPM. So we're only incurring costs when a user engages for 15 seconds or more, not losing out on any spend on users who bounce. So again, just further extending the cost efficiencies of content marketing. And finally, we have our key takeaways for the content marketing section. So embrace the new normal. Consumers are expecting brands to engage in what feels like a more personal, authentic method. In addition, this is a real opportunity for brands to build their positions as information authorities within their own verticals. So we definitely recommend that you take advantage of that. Growing importance, we saw that content marketing budgets are expected to grow year over year, and we don't see that changing anytime soon. Increased competition is growing, and truthfully, there is a lot of cost efficiency associated with content marketing as well. And finally, amplify to your audiences. So we don't want to just create the content and let it sit. We want to rely on organic search, social media, and even AI-powered content amplification to really extend that reach and flexibility as well.